How are you doing?
Good, fantastic, actually.
So, where are you located?
I am in Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. Okay. And did you grow up in Baltimore
I
or like?
did, yeah. Born and
Oh, okay.
raised, grew up here. Parents are from here, a long family history. Actually, I've been finding out over the summer doing a lot of ancestry.com work
Oh,
this
really?
year. Yeah, I found out like my family's been in Maryland since colonial days, four
Wow.
or 500 years. Just a long, 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 long time. Everybody's as English as they can be, married English, married English, married English, like on both sides. So I've been finding records all the way back beyond 1500, like
Wow.
1400, 1300. Yeah, it's insane. All
What
over
inspired
England.
what inspired the genealogy search?
Well, two things. I'm working on a large painting. It's sort of an epic family self-portrait, a queer
Mhm.
family self-portrait, me and my partner and our little girl, who's not exactly our daughter. We've been raising my brother's little girl since she was an infant.
Wow.
So we're all like in a tree, like she's climbing the tree and we're sitting on branches of the tree. And then I stopped over to my dad's on Father's Day and got chatting, and we had an ancestry account. He'd looked up a bunch of things years ago, and I don't know. He said something about, his mother always thought we came from royalty. And I was like, yeah, sure. And that night I like logged back into my ancestry account and I just started clicking, like so much more has changed in the last 10 years. I think they ought to hire me for a spokesperson, especially on this painting, because like in an hour, it just says potential mother, potential father. And you can just click, 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 click. And you go like 4, 8, 16, 32. But in a couple of generations, you're look at 130 some names, 200 names.
Wow.
It's pretty fascinating. Then my brain started going, well, where were these people and where were these people? And did they know each other or not know each other?
Right,
You
right.
know, because it took all these people to make me. So I was working on this painting, which has a big tree, and I'm still working on it. Um, but then my mind kept filling with these names and ideas and just the imagination of their lives and all these things. I thought, I got to get this out of my head. There's so
Right.
many I can't write them down. There's so many I can't even look on the tree view on Ancestry. It tells me like, oh, zoom out, or we're gonna hide some of the branches. I started painting all the names on the trees in place of the bark. So I'm just like going up,
Ah,
kind of up
cool.
with browns and greens and just putting name after name after name of only direct ancestors. And I've got like, I don't even know, 500 names on this painting.
That's
It's
crazy.
it's crazy because I'm not talking about brothers and cousins and aunts and uncles, just direct ancestors.
How long have you been painting?
In general, I mean,
Your whole
I
life.
have my bachelor's in painting,
Okay.
from I was 20 years old back in 1991, believe it or
Woo!
not. I think we're the same age. I was listening
We're
to
very
one of your
close, yeah.
podcasts. Yes, I'm 53. I think you said you were
No?
53. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah, no, I'm
54
53.
soon, but
Okay. You got your
hmm
bachelor's
hmm
in 91.
yeah, I
Wow,
was a little
okay. See,
young.
I didn't get mine until 98 because I didn't start school until like 92, I think. So
Yeah,
I took
gotcha.
like a gap between like, high school and college. So yeah,
Gotcha. But yeah,
we're
always
in the same
pain.
generation. I was just writing a whole thing about our specific generation and how it was affected by the AIDS crisis because like when we came out of the closet, it would have been, I did in 87, 88.
Hmm.
And so that was right in the heart of the crisis.
Yep.
And like everybody, like the community, the people who should have been showing us how to enter into the community were dying and our
Yeah, they were.
peers were
Hmm.
just falling off. I mean, it was a terrifying time in
Yeah, such a terrifying
history.
time. I didn't come out until probably 1995. And yeah, between the AIDS crisis, and Reaganomics, and the squashing of the arts, culture, and federal spending on the arts. I mean, it was a terrible time to graduate with an art degree as a lesbian with an art degree
Right.
in painting.
And
Yeah,
painting,
not
right.
and I love to paint figuratively, and figurative paintings weren't so hot and popular the way they are now. I feel like my work's been kind of going on this, crescendo, like up, 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 and culture was like here, and now all of a sudden culture is like, oh,
Oh
everything
yeah.
queer, everything figurative.
Right.
some people are like, oh, where'd you come from? Out of the blue. Like, no, I've been working at this for 25 years. I'm in 6 exhibits this month, but 25 to 30 years I've been working on this career. And
So you're still an emerging
hopefully,
artist then.
oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Emerging from the slowest cocoon possible. No, I don't know. I don't know about those terms. I've
Oh,
had a couple solo shows, but it's not like I'm in a museum collection yet. I don't know. Those terms are wonky. Some emerging artists are like 21 and finishing their MFA, or 24 or something.
right. Well, the art
yeah,
world tends to see emerging as like under 30. If you look at the way it's actually applied in exhibitions and things, they might say different things, but generally that's usually under 30. So that's very specific.
Right.
So
Right.
I have my own feelings about that whole thing, just because I know so many emerging artists who are starting, after 40, 50, even 60. I just talked to an artist who's in her 80s,
Yeah,
so,
in my opinion, it doesn't have anything to do with age, but more where's your work and where's it been shown, and what kind of traction are you getting with your work?
Right. Emerging should be more about the energy the art creates and the spontaneity of like how it responds to the world in the moment, not like an age or like a set of criteria, like, oh, you graduated from this school within this many, all that kind of stuff. So there's so many like different ways that we self-discriminate within the art community and within the queer community, and we have to rank and file everyone. So it's crazy. So I love your paintings. When I saw your work, I was like, wow. I mean, they're gorgeous colors. Like, you do beautiful colors. They're vibrant. And there's like clarity within the narrative of the pieces, but it's just like there's this intimacy within the pieces. And just in the short amount of time we're talking about your family and everything, about the portrait you're working on about your family tree, and I'm thinking, are all these people that you're close friends with, or?
Yeah, they're all people I know. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to paint just from memory or ideas in general, and I try to work with people in my community, couples. There's one couple that I've painted numerous times. They now have a little boy and a new little baby who's probably already 1 by now. But yeah, it's portraiture and narrative at the same time. So I want the paintings to read as intimate as a portrait, but as universal as a narrative, and so that anyone can relate to them, which is why they're also life-size scale, so that when you see them in person, you can really get absorbed into the story and either see yourself or see, your family member. Maybe you have kids who are LGBTQ, or I want them to be very relatable, and they have a lot of personal details.
Well, and there's the relatability of it, but they're not so specific that you feel like you can't relate to them. Because sometimes when you see portraits, especially of couples, you can relate to like maybe like the scenery of it or something like that, but like the relationships between the figures is so intimate, but it doesn't feel like I don't feel like a voyeur, and I feel like I can relate it to all the people that I know in my life, or so
that's wonderful. So I'm doing the work correctly. That's what, I don't want people to feel like a voyeur. I'm trying to show either really private moments in public spaces or more public moments in private spaces, where I'm inviting you in, to look at me and my wife on our couch or something. It's a specific painting, a specific portrait, but our expressions and directly looking out of the canvas are like welcoming you in, like you rang the doorbell, come on in, you're in their inner circle now. Or the ones that are more in public, like in parks, or I've got one that happens at a Mardi Gras parade. It's a big portrait in the dark night kind of scene, but where it's like you've just stumbled on somebody and they've turned to like see, oh, who's there, but at the same time they're having a little private moment, but they're in a public space, so it's okay to kind of be part of their experience and vice versa. I don't want any voyeurism. I don't want any typical male gaze situation. I want all of my kind of characters in the narratives to be challenging you and welcoming you at the same time.
Well, and even within like the subject of voyeurism, and there's some nudity in some of the work that you do, but it doesn't feel gratuitous, or like it's not sexualized because of the intimacy between the figures. And I feel, I look at it and I'm like, I feel like, well, just like you said, it's like I just, like I'm a friend who's visiting your house or something, and I just happen to walk in, and this is what's happening in front of me, and in 5 minutes, we'll be in the dining room, like sitting at the dining table, sharing a meal or something. So, which I think is I think it's a very unique quality to capture something like that. It's just like just the naturalness of it comes through very much. What is your process for deciding what you're going to paint?
Generally, I take a lot of photos, so I'll meet friends or models, and I'll either go to their house or take them to a public place and just take, probably like 200-300 photos. I'll have some prescribed poses I'm interested in. Sometimes I mine like other famous works of art that we might sort of recognize a pose from, and I'll ask them to get into that pose, and then I'll say, okay, now just do what feels natural, or sit on the couch together, or walk away from me holding hands, or whatever it is. And I'll just take a whole lot of photos, and then looking through just as a photographer would for a composition that really that just stands out, that works visually and compositionally. And then as I begin to create the painting, I'll bring in other things like fabrics and blankets, and they may have just had on a plain t-shirt or something in the photo shoot, but then I'll think about their personality or meanings or timings, and I'll put a pattern on there that's something personal or revealing. Or if it's in their room or their home or something, I might leave objects and delete objects. I might leave some important, like mother or child or grandmother or something in a frame, and then wash over other things and bring in colors. So that's where painting is just kind of a little bit more interpretive and symbolic than actual photographs. As I have shown on occasion, I've been asked, well, if you have all these photos and I love them, they're great, why don't you show some photos? So I have shown some of the photos occasionally, but I just love
with the paintings, or
yeah, I did a big. Yeah, with the paintings. So I had like a big wall of the large paintings, and then in the back of the room, I assembled them like a big collage on one wall, like 25 photos, all cropped differently, all different shapes, different couples. And I entitled it "She Keeps Me Warm," which is a stolen title of a Macklemore song about the gay community in a Macklemore rap song. So yeah, but the piece was multiple photographs rather than just presenting like, oh, here's this photograph, because I'm only thinking of myself.
Was that how was that how was it received? Did it change the significance of the painting that was with it, or did it enhance?
No, I don't think so. I think it gave people an insight. Well, like I said, so if you picture like this was a solo show I had called Taboo, and I had large oils on one side, and I had these paintings on Mylar down another wall, like a 40-foot long wall. And then it was at the back of the room on a wall by itself were these collage photos, and they kind of created a nice shape too. It wasn't like a square where they filled in, they kind of organically went up the wall. I think people were fascinated to see, oh, wait a minute, I've seen that red and white polka dot dress in a painting. Oh, now I see the photo. Oh, that's the real people. Oh, that's really amazing. And oh, they're a real couple. They are. And photographs, I think in the gay community, especially in the lesbian community, have often been shared and exhibited because you can capture the nuances kind of a non-binary person in a photograph much more clearly than you can in a painting. Because in a painting, it's like, oh, that's a man if there's a short haircut or a whatever. And it's a little more difficult to tell the story of gender neutral people in a painting. You have to have these little hints, like an extra little bit of pink or a thinner neck, or just the symbolic something in the clothing. And the viewer it asks a little bit more of the viewer to spend a little bit more time to determine who the paintings are of. And they may interpret it slightly differently than the next person who walks in front of the painting. which I like.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's the non-binary response is to actually just have the experience of it and accept it for what it appears to be to you. So, and then
Right.
hopefully that starts conversations. I mean, things have changed so much in the last 5 years, 10 years, but like in the last 5 years, everything seems to be quite accelerated. I feel like,
Oh my gosh, yes.
like generationally, I just watched the last season of Sex Education, and I was blown away. And the entire time I'm thinking, what would it have been like if when we were that age, if
You
that
had
had
to.
been on television? Like,
Yes. Yes, that and
I mean,
so many things. Yes. Oh my
what
gosh.
would the subject matter of our artwork be? Like
Right.
how things would have how things could be different. So I'm not, I like the experience I had too, I guess. It can't do anything
Well, it
about
could have
that,
been,
but
yeah, but it could have been different and
yeah,
better.
it could
Like,
have
I
been.
wish I'd have been out already in college. I wish I would have already been painting, myself and queer couples. I was painting figurative couples in my 20s. I was painting interracial couples
Ah,
in watercolor. Like, I knew I was on the edge. I kind of knew what I wanted to say or share, but I wasn't even brave enough, to like come out, much less to take myself and people I know and put them on the canvas. So it was the people who were already brave, which was a lot of interracial couples in my friendship circle. And I was
sure.
like, could you pose for me? I really want to do some work around this. Yeah, but then after a while, it didn't feel obviously authentic. I'm not even straight. So painting like, a black male and a white female couple friends of mine, a couple of times over and putting imagery and symbols there that, yeah, I mean, it's good and meaningful work, but it wasn't my story to tell. I had to move on to my
Right.
story to tell. It took so long to get to it. Just because
What
of the repression just everywhere around me. Repression.
but where did you find that confidence, and how did that trans translate into your work?
Well, just before grad school, so I waited to go to graduate school because I felt, very young and like I didn't have anything to say with my painting, right? So I finished undergrad in painting and I just started exploring like, well, let me work with this medium. Well, let me change it up and work with this subject matter in this medium. And I kind of got away from figures for a while, and about, 7 to 10 years after I was done with my bachelor's, I was like, I don't know, I've got to bring the figure back. It's just killing me. So again, I just went to gay men and painting gay men. That was always easy. They're always around. They're friends of mine. A lot of them are quite attractive and willing to model, like, ooh, me. So,
Can't
um,
imagine.
right, can't imagine. So I started painting more portrait oriented work in oils, which I had been a watercolorist before. So learning new techniques and changing my techniques and trying to find my voice in my materials, and then led into trying to find my voice in compositions and imagery. So I went off to grad school, and as you do, you get 1,000 critiques, and some are totally useless and some are amazing, and some make you feel
Right.
like you shouldn't even pick up a brush again, and some make you feel
Right.
like you're on the path. So it was one of those or two of those that were like, okay, I think I'm going to find it. I'm like digging and digging. I think I'm going to get there. And I just made a painting of, myself and my wife, and went from there, and reached out to some girls that I know and said, come on, do you want to model for me? I've got some ideas. And yeah, it's gone from there. And that was 10 years ago. And so now, yeah, like I said,
Nice.
I think culture's catching up, and I've got it. I think I know what I'm doing. I know what I want to say in my work. Each painting kind of evolves on its own. I plan about 75% and leave 25% up to whatever's going to happen.
Right. The energy of whatever is what flows with it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, like,
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the one where the two women are reaching across the flowers, the garden scene.
In the Garden of Autumn. Yeah.
Yeah,
In
and
the Garden of Autumn.
and like the fact that one of them is pregnant, and so there's like this spring, sort of like feeling to everything, the color and, birth and new life and everything. And there's this beautiful,
Exactly.
beautiful moment where, like the fingers are connecting, sort of, and it's an unusual composition because they're each on different sides of the frame. And so there's this whole area in the middle, which for me as a painter would give me a little bit of a anxiety attack because it's like you paint the
Right.
figure, you paint this, and then you're like, what's going on here? But it's amazing how it does feel as though it's like there's this energy of love between them, and it colors the entire thing and it pulls you in. And I love hearing this comment about scale because I mean, like you look at for instance, like a Lucian Freud, I mean, he uses scale in his work to,
My
I
least
feel,
favorite figurative painter. He's like my opposite. He paints his figures so pale and white, they look like corpses. And I paint mine
well,
so full of color.
yeah, I mean, yours are more colorful. And I also think it's interesting the way he uses scale to, I feel like he's trying to intimidate his audience a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like the self wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, there's this block of emotion, like in the work. There's not a sense of a specific emotion or a mood other than the model, And so that's why I love your figurative work in the way that it creates a sense of mood. And I'm so excited to like put one of your pieces up on the wall. Like I'm super excited. I mean,
Well, thank you.
I live back here in the gallery, so anything I put up in the gallery, I have to live with. So,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so I was like,
Okay,
oh my
good.
god, I'm so excited. And we have a fabulous Mexican painter that I'm working with who will be showing as well. And I'm just like, oh, I'm very happy with the way the painting
The
portion of things
colors,
comes.
I hope, yeah, come together. I'm in love with tropical palettes. I moved to New Orleans for a time and opened a gallery there back in 2005 because I just wanted to paint like all the banana leaves and big palms and I don't know, orange blossoms and ginger blossoms and just all of that big tropical nature. And so now I've finally figured out how, like 10 years later, bring all that nature in and still have the
Right.
figures there and have them living together. That painting was, yeah, one of those things where I photographed them in their bedroom and here, there, and everywhere. And they had this tomato garden, and their house was in the middle of the city, but in their backyard. I mean, they're just one of those couples who just, plants everything, tries to live off the land. You couldn't see anything in that frame that would ever tell you they were anywhere near a city, but sure enough, they were. I mean, but there was just stuff growing everywhere, and they were just picking tomatoes, and I'm like,
Wow.
snapping in that shot where they were, yeah, handing it perfectly to one another. Oh, so perfect. And then the figure on the left, she actually has one more in her hand down below. And now, as I said, since like that kind of tomato represents their baby that they're having, she's pregnant in the picture, and they've since had a second. And
Oh,
I
wow.
assume it was like a little premonition tomato there in her hand.
That's
And
great.
the pregnant figure, her name is Autumn, and the title came about because the background was solid green, and as I was working on it, I was walking my dogs, and I I saw this vine that I thought was honeysuckle or something. It was all little white blossoms, like a little spray, and I snagged a piece and took it into the studio, and then I looked it up, and it was called Sweet Autumn.
Oh,
So I put all of that around Jane's head. She's kind of the, more gender fluid person in the painting. It's just to kind of halo her, even though I've painted her into the background like a green shirt, green
right.
background. But then I kind of just haloed her head with this sweet autumn blossoms. Because a
That's
lot of the
amazing.
focus is over on autumn being with a little pregnant, colorful belly. And yeah, so a
Right,
lot,
right.
a lot of thought and energy and time goes into all those compositional details and patterns and symbolic details, and that's the
Beyond
fun.
beyond the piece that you were describing at the beginning when we were talking the family tree, are there projects that you're looking towards in the near future or?
I'm working on another one right now it's a lesbian wedding scene that happens in the middle of the street in a nighttime Mardi Gras parade.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be like a very celebratory, colorful work, just like the others. Beyond that one, those two are the ones in process right now. That's it. The next thing will come. It'll come naturally the way it comes. I'm not sure what it'll be.
Well, I mean, you seem you're that. I think that's like the third thing that you've mentioned that has Mardi Gras or
Yeah, well, the New Orleans
or New Orleans in it. So
I
it
just
seems like
love the creative culture there. I just love the parades and all the creativity and the colors and the fact that the people on the ground. I don't think other people understand it unless you really kind of spend time in that culture. You don't understand. It's like not understanding Christmas. It's like thinking Christmas is one day of the
right,
year where you give each other presents and then it's over. Mardi Gras is like Christmas in that it's a season. It's many days. It's like a month. All these parades happen and parties and king cakes and costumes. It's like Halloween and Christmas rolled into one.
right,
And it's not produced by, Macy's and, whoever sponsors corporate it's produced by
right,
people who just get together and go, oh my gosh, I have the greatest idea. We're all going to dress up as Elvis and ride on scooters down the street. And there's like
right,
150 of us. And we're going to be young Elvis and old Elvis and every Elvis in between. And people just get together and do crazy, ridiculous, amazing, and interesting things. And they're not on TV and they're not in the movies and they're not, hanging on gallery walls, but they're doing all the same things, that these celebrated, artists do in their art careers, but they're just regular people who work at the
right,
grocery store and a coffee shop or run a bed and breakfast. And then they spend all their free time making costumes and ideas and throwing parties and getting their friends together and just kind of exuding creativity. And of course, political satire is part of it.
right.
And,
Well, it's a community around creativity. Do you have like a community of creative people in Baltimore that you?
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. We've got a lot. I mean, we have the Maryland Institute College of Art here. So that's just like a wellspring of new artists moving to town every year. And then half of them stay, and so that we've got, yeah, great art scene, a thriving art scene. We have a lot of studio spaces. We have an art magazine. You have another one of our artists in your show,
I
Adam
know,
David Bencomo. So
I know, it's right up there.
there you go. Yep.
And
Yep.
I have four other prints of his too from a series he did
Wow.
during the pandemic, nude and floating and all these different things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really fun
no.
things. Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, I do have a
yeah,
creative community here.
I mean, Baltimore has the the John Waters sort of stamp, so
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
I
They've
imagine that
given us.
invites its own sense of creative community as well. So
Oh yeah, he's kind of branded us and given us the freedom to be wacky and just do whatever. Right? There's no like little prescription we have to stay inside of as artists. Not in this town,
not in
anyway.
that town, no. Yeah.
No, no.
Who inspires you? Are there any queer artists that are inspiring you now, or have inspired you, or?
It's really hard to say. Micheline Thomas inspires me. Her work on women in general and African
Mhm.
American women, and she is a lesbian, but her work's not really about that. I mean, she's got an occasional kind of double portrait, but I do
Mhm.
love her work and watch her career. And Amy Sherald's here from Baltimore, also not gay whatsoever, but I love her figurative paintings. No, it's kind of hard for me to find an exact
Well,
uh, someone
queer. I
who
mean,
I would say like that's the person I want to be or I want to follow in their
right.
footsteps. Not exactly. It's a combination of this one and this one and this one.
Yeah, and I find even like you sort of qualified the artist as straight, and I find that as a queer person, I see queerness in other things, even if they're not like lettered as a queer
Oh, sure.
object or person, or and so I see that, and I think that and if it affects me, then I feel like that makes it sort of queer as well. So
Oh, sure.
I
Sure. I
I
was
I
just answering to
I'm,
your question, like, is there a queer artist in particular? Yeah, there isn't.
I'll get random emails sometimes. Oh, I love what you're doing, but I'm not a queer artist. I'm like, well, but that's not the qualification. Like, I queer art is, can be many things. I mean, when we were, back in the AIDS crisis, queer was more politically oriented and important. And now I feel like it's important because I don't know. I just feel like it's more inclusive than LGBTQ plus
I think so too.
IAA. because I look at the diversity of the community. It's so different than it used to be because there were definitely like cliques and like these sort of like visual ways that we had to communicate with each other because
Right.
of the closet and how dangerous it was. And now that's not there. And I'm like, then why do we need to? Because what if people don't see themselves in those letters? Like, and what
Right.
if they're lost for a long time because of that? You know, so I like a more open definition of it. I'm, you know, other than,
I
you know,
totally
like
agree.
the bridesmaid parties showing up at queer bars. That's kind of annoying, but
So true. It's definitely true. But yeah, I'd rather just have one term, like, okay, not normal. How about NN? That's what, even when I was
right,
like a
not
teenager,
normal.
I used to say, just call me NN. I'm just not normal. I don't really know. I didn't know what I was or why or how I was different. I was a nerd. I was smart. I was, you know, a girl with three brothers, and I didn't fit in with them. And they wanted me to be girly, their girly sister, which I wasn't. And just so many ways. I was just not normal. So I just called myself NN. We could just take that term, forget all the other letters.
Right. Well, I mean, if you were looking back to offer advice to, let's say, the, you know, emerging artists um, in the queer community, like what kind of advice would you give them?
I think, you know, two things. One, do whatever it is that's interesting to you. You know, whether a mentor or a teacher goes, that's like too risque, or it's too
Right.
this, or it's too that. Don't really listen, actually, to most of your
Mm-hmm.
art teachers and mentors. You have to follow your gut. And, you know, culture changes, art changes. And as young artists, you know, you probably have ideas that the rest of us, especially teachers, are just blind to, right? So just
Mm-hmm.
follow your heart, follow your ideas, explore them, and then also get your art out there. I mean, geez, when I was younger, I had to hire a photographer, make a slide, print it out, write these little teeny letters, put it in a slide case, mail it off. And that's only if I found out where to mail it to and why by
right.
reading a magazine. Oh my God, it was so hard to get noticed. It's so easy now. It's easy. Use your
right.
Instagram, set up an art only page. Don't follow your friends. Don't follow BS. Don't follow funny whatevers. Set up a separate one if you have to that only follows art, calls for art, art galleries, and you'll find your people and you'll find opportunities to get your work out there because it's so easy now. There's no excuse not to do it.
I know, right? I mean, I'm always shocked when somebody, really, I need to send you a PDF of a proposal, and I'm just like, do you know do you know how high the snow was that I had to walk through?
Right, exactly.
right, because you know
Both ways.
that's what younger people want to hear.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean it's spectacular to see like how the community is expanding definitions and like gaining acceptance. And I think it's really important to get the voices out there. I I really enjoy the perspective that you bring to it because I feel like there's like the energy of intimacy and maturity is infused in all the images. I saw not cellophane. What was it? It was
Yeah, it's work on Mylar,
the work on
acrylic
Mylar,
on
and I adore the shadows that it casts and the way that it affects the dimensions of it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Thank you. I just shipped two of those off to Australia for a Pride show in
Oh,
Australia, and they actually arrived. They made it through customs and arrived, so they'll be hanging in October
oh,
in a
that's
Pride show
awesome.
in Australia. Yeah, too, because I could
Uh,
roll them up in a tube and just send because they're not on canvas. And
where will that be in Australia? Because I found out last week that we're like number 8 in the podcast in Australia in the art category.
really
I'm like,
fantastic.
so,
Wow.
so where's that show in case somebody
It's
wants
called the Tanks at
to?
Cairns, the Tanks, and there are these huge, I guess, former oil tanks or something that are now used for like concert venue and wedding venue and art gallery venue, and they
Wow,
sit on a botanical gardens location. So altogether
wow.
fascinating. It's in Queensland. So like if you're, you know, looking at the Australia, like Sydney's kind of in the lower right corner. It's way up
Okay,
to
okay.
hand side of, yeah, Sydney. The Tanks at Cairns, Cairns, like that word where you put the little stones on top of each other.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a cool concert, multi kind of function space of some kind that just seems amazing. And I wish I could actually get there, but flights are like $2,000 in 34 hours or some crazy thing.
Yeah,
20
no,
hours,
yeah.
I don't know.
All the flights are very expensive right now. So
Yeah,
and
but it's
getting to the other side of the world. Whew.
yeah. So I've sent some digital prints there too, some giclées on paper, a couple, 3 or 4 that will be in that show, and then these 2 large life-size works on mylar that cast those beautiful shadows. So hopefully they hang those
Super.
well. And I've got 2 shadow works on a slightly different topic up in Queens, New York, at a gallery called Culture Lab for a show called The Inevitability of Absence. I did a body of work about infants, our child actually coming and going from our life, like she's there, she's not there, we have her, we don't have her. And just in life in general, you have an infant one day, you're carrying, you're doing every single thing, and then later they're 25-year-old adult, like you don't have a little infant anymore.
Right.
There's some kind of loss that happens there, the inevitability of change, absence, loss, impermanence. So 2 of those works.
Yeah, the ephemeral quality of everything.
Right. So the shadow is I have the lights go on and then they go off. So the shadow it creates a shadow and then the shadow's gone.
Interesting.
The figure's gone.
Interesting. That's really beautiful. Well, I hope you'll one day make it to Mexico City. And
I've been dying to see Frida Kahlo's house forever and ever. Are you anywhere close?
It's about a 20-minute bus ride from here. Not
that's
too
close.
Far. Yeah, for this size of the city, that's not too bad. But you have to book online like a month in advance because the tickets sell out. It's very popular. It's become super popular. So,
of course.
And
so,
I actually like the Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo studios.
That would be great
which
too.
are not that far from there, and they're 2 buildings that are connected by a bridge.
Yes.
And so it's like a perfect metaphor for the marriage, and then the personality of each one of them is so evident in each of the places too. So it's a very interesting perspective on that marriage. So so
yes, number one thing about Mexico City that I want to see, and then number 2, yes, is your gallery. So yeah, I hope to get there.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.